the common
modalités de gouvernance pour manage resources empirische
If you had to define the commons in one sentence, what would you say?
Une manière de penser.
I define the commons as those things that are held collectively, which belong to nobody and at the same time belong to everybody.
Shared resources for everybody, I guess. Everybody is probably the problematic word there. Not sharing and not resources. Defining everybody maybe becomes the problem.
Commons on kaikki se ihmiskunnan luovuus ja monipuolisuus, joka jää rahatalouden ulkopuolelle. Se on niin kuin negatiivinen määritelmä.
Es la definición que le damos a las cosas que utilizamos o que por las cuales nos organizamos como sociedad sin un fin de lucro o un fin económico.
Das Gemeingut ist, was uns gehört, aber was wir nicht besitzen.
As the theme for a festival, I thought it worked really well because it brought in people from all sorts of backgrounds. You had artists, more science and technical people, and then you had sort of political, social focus, which is pretty much explains Pixelache in a nutshell.
Pixelache has existed since 2002, first as a festival of electronic arts and then developed into an international network.
Explored through doing, and sort of practice-oriented activity. And the experiments have been coming from a sort of do-it-yourself type background, but increasingly over the years also this do-it-with-others perspective, so a sort of social experimentation and social learning space.
Pixelache has many fields of interests, including participatory culture, network culture, and open source culture, and comes from this idea of misusing technologies and media, and has very strong connections to the demo scene also in Finland and internationally. And along the years, topics related to environmental issues have become very central also to our activities, as well as themes related to public space and alternative economic cultures, for instance. This year we chose Vartiosaari because of the process that's going on around this island and the city planning office, and it seemed to us that Vartiosaari demonstrates many important and interesting aspects of the commons, so it felt like a natural venue for our themed festival.
No, oikein hyvä suomenkielinen sana on jokamiehen oikeudet. In Finnish we have this word jokamiehen oikeudet, which kind of translates as every man's rights. We have this pool of nature resources that every man and every woman is kind of privileged or allowed to freely use, like berries and public forests and parks and all the forests basically. So I think the same philosophy applies very well into culture and habits and all the things that we have in the world.
And you were talking about the problematics of this island here. Could you tell us about it?
To me, this is a very absurd situation. This is an absolutely unique place in all sorts of ways. It has history, nature, culture, geological formations. And here we have something that's ecologically healthy, that's socially healthy, that's culturally varied, and it's just going to be covered in asphalt and expensive homes. It makes no sense.
the commons is everything around us which we share in resources and knowledge, and which should stay in the open to be of value and of use for everybody. I think that's it.
The way I understand it, commons is a resource that is not owned by any individual, but is available for the community as a whole, so that everyone can use it. But I guess it should also be managed so that the individuals do not exploit it, overexploit it. But it's a resource available for more than one individual person.
I think it's becoming increasingly more difficult to say that what is not a commons. So commons is increasingly being a way of looking at everything around you, and to realize that it's something that we should look at together, and that we should take care of, and that we should that is of all of us, and that we can engage with, and that we can make in such a way that it is for everybody and of everybody.
Τα κοινά για μένα είναι τα αγαθά, είτε φυσικοί πόροι, είτε ανθρώπινοι πόροι εργασία, δηλαδή είτε πολιτιστικά αγαθά που έχουμε, τα οποία διαχειριζόμαστε από κοινού πολύ μαζί. Δηλαδή η συμμετοχή είναι ένα κλειδί στο τι είναι κοινό και τι όχι.
Well, I think that there are two kind of categories of the commons. I think one category is our shared inheritance of the natural world, if you like, shared resources that are already present. And I think there's another category of the commons as well, which is more socially constructed. And this is about kind of common resources or practices that only kind of come into existence when you get people cooperatively participating together.
There is this pattern of defining commons as something, as a common good, for example. So there is an air and a water, and it's a common good, and it should be like that. Of course, it is commons. And of course, commons can also describe something which belongs to the general creativity. But in my opinion, and the definition which I am excited the most of the commons is like, let's imagine that I create now some creation, and then you contribute it continuously in the very same moment as I do this creation. And the border between this, what I've contributed to this creation, and what you've contributed to this creation is totally disappearing.
L'ego personale di ogni essere umano e allo stesso tempo il cercare di annullarlo per poter collaborare con il resto degli esseri umani.
Masyarakat, setiap orang memiliki kekuatan dan kemampuan sendiri untuk mengubah hidupnya dan melakukan segala hal sesuai keinginannya. Dan seringkali hal itu menjadi tidak bisa dilakukan karena ada sebuah sistem yang mengikat itu. Sehingga perlu dilakukan sebuah kolaborasi dengan beberapa orang yang lain dengan kekuatan yang berbeda, sehingga kekuatan-kekuatan itu akan menjadi semakin kuat untuk mengubah hidupnya.
So, I mean, what dances do I do? It's contact improvisation, and the basic idea that we have to keep contact at one point all the time, and this contact point can change, for example like this, and we have to listen to each other. So there is no one leading person all the time. It's like a conversation. If I'm the leading, I'm talking and you're listening. Yeah, but when you have something to say, you can lead, and then I listen. So it's really common thing.
I think that obviously there are two sorts of commons. There's the commons of scarce physical resources or limited physical resources, and there are the commons of intellectual, mental activities, which would include property and also include data and information. And I think I'm particularly interested in what I'm calling the mimetic commons. That is the idea that ideas are themselves subject to a commons-like law and can be stolen and privatized and misused. And I think that's, for me, the deep issue with various social media. Not the fact that they are, which they certainly are, in attacking privacy and leading us to a surveillance society, but more than that, they're privatizing the memes that actually constitute us.
The Commons for me stands for the promise of a radical new economic system.
Dobro wspólne jest tym, co oznacza dla mnie życie, środowisko. Własność jest zamknięciem, jest stagnacją. Własność prywatna jest dla mnie śmiercią.
Per me il bene comune, i commons, è una maniera pacifica di lavorare sul conflitto. Il conflitto relazionato alla proprietà o all'uso di risorse è un conflitto che esiste perché esistiamo noi, perché esiste l'individuo e perché esiste l'individuo all'interno di un sistema più grande, la società. Quindi è virtualmente impossibile eliminare l'esistenza del conflitto. Attraverso i commons è possibile lavorare sul conflitto in maniera pacifica.
共同 ，common 在中文的意思共同，那共同是所有人都拥有的，不论是经验或者是资产，有形无形的东西，但是是大家都知道，并且可以互相交换分享，而在那之上发展的一个。
Commons is een manier van leven waarin je een bewuste keuze maakt om de verantwoordelijkheid te nemen als mens om samen te werken. Of een manier te vinden te leven waar dat samen moet komen.
Commons on yhteisvaranto, mutta commons on myös yhdessä tekemistä ja se on myös yhdessä hallitsemista. Commons on jotain semmoista, mikä on tehty yhdessä ja josta myös päätetään yhdessä ja jota hallitaan yhdessä.
Για μένα τα κοινά αποτελούν τον τρίτο δρόμο ανάμεσα από την αγορά και το κράτος. Η εναλλακτική που προσφέρει μια διαφορετική πολιτική οικονομία, ένα διαφορετικό μοντέλο οργάνωσης.
For me, the commons is a way to reimagine what power is. Right now, we tend to see power as something that's oppressive, it's negative, it's bad. But through the commons and this way of thinking and being, it's really power as a transformative agent, and you know, it could be something positive for each and everyone.
You could start thinking about some examples of kind of a common good that may be created by labour work, or it may be created by social participation. So for example, you want to walk out on your street and you would like the street to be tidy. You could have a community that behaves in an antisocial way, throws litter, and then makes labour work of cleaning up the litter and pays a trash collector to clean it. But that same result, that same common good, could be created by the community behaving in a pro-social fashion.
The commons as a way of acting. We were occupying our marketplace in Helsinki a few years back, and of course in the media and city said that we are trashing the place. But the truth was that when we moved away and the city workers went to clean it, they said to us that it was much more cleaner than after usual weekends.
The way I see it from what I'm hearing from many different teams, it's in a way what you said and it's all about participation, basically. And a common misconception, I think, to some people, because probably of the language barriers and all of this, is that some people, I think, I may be wrong, think of the commons as sharing, but I don't see it that way. And if I have this chair and I say, okay, you take it for a weekend, it's completely different. And it's completely different if we clean it together, if we build it together, if we manage it together. And I think that's maybe key, because we're seeing a big move on what is called the sharing movement, and there are some distortions in there as to how close they are to commons or not. And what you said about, you spoke yesterday about the commons washing, and I think it's something similar about the sharing washing as well.
I mean, it's more a pragmatic thing than just an idea. That the strength, the very strength of the commons is there. You know? It's an idea, it's a philosophy, it's a set of values around it. But you can apply it, you can do it, you can just comment it. You know, there is no idea of commons without practicing, without commenting. But it's also, of course, for me, it's a kind of utopia, also because it's a vision, it opens horizons to be and act together.
I think, though, it's really important for us to see that, you know, these kind of common available resources, you know, these are resources which you don't enclose, if you like, which you don't take exclusive possession of, but which you can use and contribute to. And these things are under attack, you know? And so thinking about, well, how are they under attack, and how do we defend them? You know, they're under legal attack. They're under the attack of enclosure, you know, where you literally have legally defined common resources, which then are redefined as being privately owned. Okay, so they're stolen from us. And the question is, well, you know, who defends that? Who defends the commons? You know, all of us should be defending the commons in that sort of legalistic framework. But then also you've got other attacks on the commons, which are based on promoting antisocial behaviour. You can say it would be nice to walk down the street without being afraid of being shot, you know? And if you like, there is a pro-social approach to promoting that common good. But there is also an antisocial approach. The antisocial approach is, well, buy a bulletproof jacket.
In my head, all these things we are talking about are also about, as you said, participation. And there's lots of people who maybe are empowered, who can help with this thing. But because of the language, they feel like it's an alien. You know, they don't feel like they are part of the commons. So what we are trying to do is something, I mean, we are not the monsters, they are not the monsters. It's just very often we create obstacles just because of language, not because we want to have different outcome from our actions. So the change we want is good for everybody, and in their minds too. So sometimes it's because of political affiliations, or he's from the left, he's from the right, automatically anything he says is bullshit. So what is the language I should use to bring these people into this space that I know it's a beautiful place. But if I use these other words, I will not be able to bring them. Yeah, examples.
Modalité de gouvernance for managing resources, empirische
When we have the opportunity to do that, we invite the people to share their own definition of the commons by just one sentence. We place this definition in the country where the people are from. For example, Adama Dembele is from Mali. We asked him to share his definition of the commons in Bambara, his own language, his local language, and also in French. The idea of this project is just to invite all the people, and with our own language and the diversity of language and vision and how we can translate in language our practices.
For me, the commons is something very near to us. It's really right in front of your face. It could be the corridor in your building that you share with your neighbors or the garden outside. And I think for me the idea of the commons is about becoming conscious that we are all interconnected, interdependent, but in a positive way because we share something, resources. But it's of course also a responsibility because we need to take care of it and manage it. And I think there's another layer also where the commons is about becoming aware that you are interconnected and interdependent with people that are really far away from you. So actually the way you behave here and now, what you eat, can affect other people in faraway places in the world. And so for me this sort of dialogue or this movement between the global and the local is at the heart of the commons also. And I guess both thinking global and developing local, and thinking local and developing global, they have to kind of happen in a way hand in hand.